We start, this is the fourth Antalya Diplomacy Forum. Good to see everyone back here. This is always one of my favorite events on the calendar year, and good to see everyone, new faces, old faces. So we're going to have a ADF talks with the President of the Turkish Republic of Cyprus, Ersin Tatar. We're calling it Turkish Republic of Cyprus, right? No more North? There's only one Cyprus now, Turkish Republic.
In the north, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. The other side is South Cyprus.
Do you like to keep North in there still, or should? Okay, so we'll keep North in there. The Turkish Republic of North.
It's in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we'll keep the North in there.
Rauf Denktaş, our founding president,
of course,
when he founded the Republic, in the Constitution it does say that the name cannot be changed. Mm-hmm. So it is there.
Okay, well,
so
then
yes.
We'll make the spirit of Mr. Denktaş happy and continue with
yes.
the Northern Cyprus then. I want to introduce again President Ersin Tatar, and we're going to continue on. We're going to talk about the Cyprus issue. Now, I'm 46 years old, and ever since I remember, Cyprus has always been an issue between the North and the South, between Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, and it's probably one of the longest, if not the longest, unresolved global issue, correct?
One
of them, right? I think the best place to start is you tell us a little background, historical background about how we got here. What's the issue? What's the history and context behind it?
Well, Cyprus was an Ottoman island. Nearly 350 years, it was part of the Ottoman Empire. In 1878, when the Ottomans began to have some problems, they leased the island to the British, only a lease agreement. But unfortunately, despite the lease agreement, the British, using the opportunity provided by the First World War, they annexed the island. And in 1923 Lausanne Agreement, the island was transferred to the sovereignty of the British. But it did say in the Lausanne Agreement that if ever there's going to be a status. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me move this a little closer.
So the Lausanne Agreement, going back to 1923, it did say explicitly that if the British were to pull out one day, which they did in 1960, then Turkey will have a say in the future of the island. And this was in 1960 when Turkey became a guarantor power, thanks to the Prime Minister Adnan Menderes and Foreign Minister Fatih Rüştüzoğlu of the time. And Turkey, a guarantor power, together with Greece and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom gets 2 sovereign bases in Cyprus as a result of the 1960 agreement when they pull out. Greeks, they demand enosis, which is unification of the island with Greece. This is the start of the turmoil. Makarios, Grivas, Papadopoulos, all these names. They thought that after the British, using that opportunity, thinking that Turkey will just sit and watch, they attacked the Turkish Cypriots using force of arms, all sorts of things. And they destroyed the Republic of Cyprus after only 3 years of its formation. This Republic of Cyprus, co-founded by the Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots as equal partners. This is very important. The 1960 Republic of Cyprus was founded on an equality basis. Turkish Cypriots were as equal as Greek Cypriots. We had sovereign rights, and we, the Turkish Cypriots, are co-founders of the Republic of Cyprus. It only lasted 3 years, and we were kicked out, pushed out, and because of a outdated resolution in 1964, as if the Greek Cypriot administration commands authority all over the island. And nowadays, after more than 60 years, we suffer the same problem. Greek Cypriots think that they are the owners of the whole island. They are not. Turkish Cypriots are as sovereign as Greek Cypriots. And this is the crux of the present Turkish Cypriot and Turkish policy, that Turkish Cypriots deserve sovereign equality and thereby equal international status. This is the parameter of our new policy. If there's going to be a solution in Cyprus after all the years, this solution can only be a two-state solution. We have got a state in the south, Greek Cypriot state. It's a pure Greek Cypriot state. We've got our own state in the north, Turkish Cypriot state, and these two states have been at least 60 years, and since 1974 when Turkey had to intervene, and Turkey did intervene, and since 1974 we've got two regions, two authorities, two democracies, and two states. You cannot turn the clock back. And since the United Nations and authorities like this nowadays in Palestine and other places in the world, they support a two-state solution, why not in Cyprus? Unfortunately, in Cyprus, our Greek Cypriot friends down there still insist that the island should be reunited. And we believe that after all these years, reunification of the island is absolutely impossible, because we owe our stability, peace, security, and all sorts of things to the Turkish support.
No, well, you guys have tried for 6 decades to reunify, right? So it's not like you just ended the reunification talks.
There have been a lot of efforts to reunite on a federal basis. Greek Cypriots still talk about federalism, a federal solution to the island, but at the same time they talk about reunification, because in a European context, a solution based on federalism effectively means a reunification of the island, and they would insist that Turkey is not a member of the European Union, and Turkey should pull out, and Turkey's guarantor status will be expired, and therefore Turkish Cypriots will be exposed to a lot of political risks. This is something that Turkish Cypriots cannot possibly agree to. That's why we are insisting that any solution in Cyprus should be based on a two-state solution. Mm-hmm. This is a norm, and in the last 4.5 years, we've done a lot of work that a solution should be a two-state solution based on sovereign equality of Turkish Cypriots. I mean, this is a valid agreement and valid policy, because it emanates from the 1960 Constitution that Turkish Cypriots are as equal as Greek Cypriots. Greek Cypriots are not the masters of the island. When you look at previous agreements, the history of the island, Turkish Cypriots are a side. They are a side, we are a side. Let's sort it out. How? The only way forward would be, after all these years of meaningful discussions and a lot of efforts by the United Nations and the world community, especially what happened in 2004 with the Annan Plan, as you would remember. Mm-hmm. That was a comprehensive settlement plan. But the Greek Cypriots outrightly rejected. 76% said no. Turkish Cypriots, 65% said yes. Despite this, Turkish Cypriots were punished, because we were promised that if we were to say yes, isolation and restriction of the Turkish Cypriots will be lifted. Unfortunately, despite Kofi Annan's efforts, that Turkish Cypriots who said yes to the plan should be rewarded at least by isolations being lifted on the Turkish Cypriots, direct trade, direct contact, direct flights, things like this. Unfortunately, we are still suffering from all these inhumane restrictions on Turkish Cypriots. And we are basically asking the international community in all opportunities that our human rights, which have been taken away from Turkish Cypriots, should be given back, and we should not wait the political settlement any longer, because obviously, despite Turkish Cypriots' efforts and our good intentions and good faith, the Turkish, the Cyprus problem has not been able to be resolved. So why should the Turkish Cypriots continue to suffer? Anybody who was born in 1964 is now more than 50 years old. He's probably have, or she, grandchildren. What is the justification to punish young Turkish Cypriots for a political dispute going back years ago, and despite all these efforts to resolve the problem, this problem is still going on, protracted, long disputes. So at least we demand that the world community, United Nations and the others should lift isolations, restrictions, and all sorts of inhumane restrictions on Turkish Cypriots. And I proposed to Maria Holguin, who was the special representative of, personal representative of the Secretary General, that the 3Ds, direct contacts, direct trade, and direct flights should start with the Turkish Cypriots so that we take part in the international community as an entity, Turkish Cypriots. And in time, I hope recognition comes because we do exist. We have state, we have our own police, we have our own courts, we have our own judiciary, independent judiciary. Whatever is in a modern state, we have it in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. And I think a fully fledged modern state with all the resources that we are using to develop our economy, we owe it to our young people, we owe it to our future generations that we should demand recognition from the international community. That's what we deserve from our inherent right. It's called inherent rights, going back to the history of the island.
Exactly. The Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus has all the hallmarks of being a state. I'm someone who's visited at least 10 times in my life, a very, very beautiful part of the island. Now, we talked a little about the injustices, 6 decades of living under embargo, under sanctions, while Greek Cypriots enjoy European Union membership. And this has probably made it very unequal at the diplomatic table because time is in their favor. You guys are living under embargo. They're comfortable while they're negotiating. Now, most recently, Geneva, a new round of talks. Has Geneva, or at least the atmosphere of Geneva, been different than the Annan Plan, different from Cross-Montana? Do you feel more pragmatism? Is there finally an opportunity for a breakthrough?
Well, our position is that we were in Geneva to discuss the way forward, collaboration of the two states for possible cooperation on different activities. It could be electricity, it could be water, it could be with climate change, whatever we can do to help both sides. Demining, a lot of mines around, especially in the buffer zone. Let's clear them because from time to time we have some accidents. Let's cooperate on historical sites. All sorts of things that we can do together to engage in further contacts with each other because we believe that until there is a political settlement, the two sides, the two peoples, as it were, should cooperate on many issues so that this could be for the good of all Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots in terms of economy, in terms of standard of living, in terms of welfare, all sorts of things. So I asked them to consider opening a few more gates so that the current gates between the north and the south get very crowded. And a lot of people suffer because of long queues. So let's open another gate, the other side of Nicosia. And I proposed a few alternatives. To date, I have not had a positive response, but I hope the Secretary General and his personal representative to be appointed put some weight on this so that we can do some things together.
So you're trying to have these confidence-building measures regarding the recognition of two states.
Rather than confidence-building measures, I am saying that these are cooperations of the two states on the island for the benefit of all Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots. So this is my position. At the other side, he wants me to go back to Cross-Montana under the auspices of Secretary General Guterres. I refuse to do that because that's gone. That's a long time ago. and we have now put forward a new policy more than 4 years ago, that the way forward would be a two-state solution. The doors are closed to a federal solution because of what we have lived through in the past, and we believe that we should not be wasting any more time, because any conference costs probably millions of dollars. You got hundreds of people around, you got conference costs. It's a costly exercise and losing time. To get prepared for a conference, you need a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of expense, as I say. And what is the point of re-exercising when you have no chance whatsoever after all the experiences that we went through? So the only way forward, and what I'm talking to you is supported by academic people, by diplomats, by historians, because they know the ins and outs of the Cyprus problem, and they think, and a lot of people from the international community who would not be involved for political reasons, but they know in private conversations that there is no way that the Greek Cypriots, because they are recognized, they are a full European member, and all the advantages that go with it, they are never going to share the resources and the governance of the island with Turkish Cypriots. So if that is the case, which is quite obvious, why waste time? So a new policy, a two-state solution. If they mean well for a just and sustainable solution, let's cooperate. Let's cooperate on all issues. For example, one very important cooperation area that we can do is connect via Turkey into the European grid. Interconnectivity of the electricity system is called. Because at the moment, the north and the south, we generate our electricity through fuel oil, which is absolutely devastating, not only to the environment, but also to our health, because you are burning oil to generate electricity. It's just an island. We don't have any alternative at the moment. We don't even have the gas, which is cleaner. So the obvious, quick thing to be done is via cable through Turkey into the European grid. Turkey is already interconnected with the European grid. And Turkey is only 60 kilometers away from North Cyprus. We have been able to bring water from Turkey to water, which is, as we call, the project of the century. We have been able to bring in water from Anamur. We have 74 million metric cube of water flowing in every year, which is really a brilliant project. When it was first proposed, a lot of engineers, water engineers, they said, no way this could work, because you are not going to be able to lower down the pipes. Pipes are, each pipe is probably 5 meters chop. And you have the water pressure. So these brilliant engineers, what they did is 250 meters down from the sea surface, with connection, they were able to bring this water into North Cyprus, and there is no other like a project like this in the world. This is the first project in the world.
So it's an unprecedented example.
This is a Turkish success. And I, with Turkish approval, I proposed to the Greek Cypriots in Geneva also that Turkey is prepared to give approval that we have this electricity jointly interconnected into the European Union, so that the North and the South both benefit from this connection, which is a lot cheaper than South Cyprus to Greece and into the European grid. It will cost billions of dollars, whereas this one, because proximity from North Cyprus to Anamur is only 60 kilometers away, it could be done in 3 months, and it could be 1/10 of the cost of the longer one from the south to Greece, obviously.
Sounds like a very climate-friendly, fantastic proposal you made.
It is a very exciting project, this one. And it could give, what they say, permanent and quality electricity
So you haven't gotten an answer from your Greek Cypriot counterpart yet regarding your proposal?
They say always, we don't recognize the North. Until there is a solution to the Cyprus problem, we are not able to discuss these things. So, however, the European Union and Turkey should sort it out. So, by implication, they mean that the connection should be, if there is ever going to be a connection, between Turkey and South Cyprus, and to push the Turkish Cypriots out of the equilibrium, as it were. Turkey, our motherland, guarantor power, does recognize the Turkish Republic of North Cyprus. Turkey does not recognize the Greek Cypriot administration in the south. So the only way, obviously, forward would be interconnection via the north. This would solve the problem. Further than that, we said, obviously with Turkish approval, that we can also share some of the water flowing in from Turkey, because in the south, because of this warming climate, global warming, as you know, everywhere. Rains are getting less and less. And now in South Cyprus, there's a big problem, frustration, that in the high season, when a lot of tourists come, they might not have the water that they would require to give out to their people and tourism. So what I am telling you is that in a small island like Cyprus, cooperation of the two sides is a must for prosperity. And Hakan Fidan, Foreign Secretary, Minister, when he came to visit Cyprus 2 months ago, he did say to the public, and he sent a message to the Greek Cypriots that if you are prepared to collaborate, to cooperate with the North, your Turkish Cypriot neighbors, then Turkey will support all your endeavors so that prosperity in Cyprus as a whole would increase and would be enhanced over time, which would be good for all Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots. So long as this cooperation, cultural engagement is more and more accepted. At the moment, it's not being acknowledged, unfortunately. They are not willing to cooperate, but we will demand that for the good of all Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, we should cooperate, we should cooperate, we should cooperate. That is the basis of our new policy.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of areas where you guys disagree with the Greek Cypriots, but what are the major divides, like the issues that are complete non-starters where you guys are completely far apart that is keeping this two-state solution from being talked about?
Well, as I say, Turkish Cypriots, they have got their own state. Greek Cypriots have got their own state. So the only way forward for a political settlement, which would be just, which would be viable, which would be sustainable, which would be practicable, would be based on a two-state solution. The Greek Cypriots, I think I've said last year here, should wake up to the reality. They should wake up to the reality that there are two states in Cyprus, and there is no way that we can go back, because 60 years have gone past, and after 60 years, the state in the north, the Turkish Cypriot state, has consolidated, and it's consolidating every day. I mean, we've got our own economic sectors, we've got our own infrastructure, we've got our own police, we've got our own independent courts. As I said at the beginning of the program, whatever you have in a modern state, we have it in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. And further than that, Turkey, only 60 kilometers away, is a major force, not only through the Turkish army on the island, in a way guaranteeing peace, security in this volatile region, where you have a lot of confrontation and disputes, and it flares up from time to time and makes life very difficult in terms of security, in terms of stability. If you don't have stability, you don't have economic growth. In the last 50 years, we've had stability in Cyprus because of the Turkish guarantee and Turkish army there as a deterrent, as it were, not an aggressor, but deterrent. This is very important. And because of this stability that we have enjoyed in the last 50 years, Greek Cypriots have been able to develop their economy. Now, in Europe, they're doing even better than previously. So we should all be, as it were, feel gratitude to Turkey for sacrificing a lot of cost, a lot of expense, and a lot of efforts in Cyprus. Why? For the regional stability, okay, but also this reflecting very positively on Cyprus in terms of our security, Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, in terms of all this reflecting positively on our economy, tourism, investments of all sorts, commerce, economic, whatever, including, for example, in the south, because they are recognized, they have a massive fleet of ships, and they are doing business. We are not enjoying the same privilege because we are not recognized, so all these investors with their own flag, they cannot come to the north, because if they were to come to the north, they will be punished somewhere. That's the kind of restriction and embargo still being imposed on the Turkish Cypriots. Very unfair. So I would like to take this opportunity once more to give out this message to the international community that all these restrictions and embargoes and whatever on Turkish Cypriots are very inhumane, and in this day and age, they should just be lifted, because Turkish Cypriots have been demonstrating their good intentions all over these years with the support of Turkey, that we have been open to suggestions to solve this Cyprus problem on an equality basis, which should obviously be based on fairness, on viability and sustainability and practicality. Unless any proposed solution is not practical in terms of property, in terms of management, in terms of wealth sharing, you are not going to be able to implement it anyway. So any kind of solution should be implementable, if that is the right word. You should be able to implement it. If you are not going to be able to implement it, why waste time? If you have had two states in Cyprus for the last 60 years, and since 1974 we've got two regions, the Turkish Republic in the north, the Greek Cypriots in the south, and we have had investments in all sectors of the economy all over these years with our own independence, their own independence. How can you reunite all this structure and turn the clock back 6 years? You cannot. So they have to face the reality. The reality in Cyprus is that we have got two states, two democracies, and two peoples. We are Turkish Cypriots. We speak our own language. We've got our own religion. We've got our own culture. We've got our own history. We've got our own efforts and all these endeavors and whatever sacrifices that we have made in all these 6 years, including our martyrs, including all the... we have, Turkish Cypriots, migrated 3 times. You take, as a sample, any Turkish Cypriot from the street, he will tell you how he or her parents moved 3 times. Now, if they are will come up with another proposed solution which would make the Turkish Cypriots, after all these years, to migrate once again, so in 2 generations, 4th migration, we are not going to say yes to that. We have settled in the north, they have settled in the south. Let's cooperate and let's sort out all these disputes, whatever they are, so that we can have peace, security, stability, and whatever we need to share, let's share. And Turkey, we are very lucky because Turkey is a guarantor power. Turkey owes a lot of respect to the Turkish Cypriots, and for Turkish Cypriots, Turkey has announced already, as I told you during this program, that Turkey is prepared to help Cyprus with regard to electricity, with regard to water, with regard to trade, with regard to commerce. And if there is going to be a solution to the Cyprus problem, can you imagine how this would reflect on the economy?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Look,
economic explosion, I guess.
Cyprus is, if you look at the map, Cyprus is in the middle of the world. In the middle of the world. It's only 2.5 hours from mainland Europe. It's only a couple of hours from Middle East. Turkey, from Istanbul, Ankara, Trabzon, Izmir, Antalya, all these cities of Turkey, to Ercan, approximately 1 hour. You can fly Trabzon, Istanbul, Izmir, Ankara, 1 hour. Can you imagine the potential for tourism from Turkey?
Tremendous potential.
Because Turkey is now 85 million. With Turkish people living in Europe, in Germany and whatever, probably 100 million Turkish people.
Not just that, from the Turkic countries as well.
Further than that, yes. If there is a solution to the Cyprus problem, The North and the South would enjoy Turkish tourism much more, would enjoy trade. Only the opening of the ports of Turkey to these Greek Cypriot ships and vessels, which is internationalized, I must say, they are very successful. They got a lot of fleets and ships, including, you know, there was Onassis at the time from Greece. I mean, they have some serious background in this business. If Turkey were to open her ports, this would reflect on shipping business very positively. And the aerospace, if the airport were to opened up, you would have a lot of flights from the Far East over Russia going to Larnaca airport in the south. Now, these planes should go over Greece and come to Larnaca. All this means essentially cost to the Greek Cypriot economy. So as an economist myself, I feel very frustrated that some political frustration, they are not able to see whatever we have over the mountain. They should wake up to the reality in Cyprus and look at the horizon to see the potential benefits that we could all enjoy.
It seems like a lose-lose situation.
We can have a win-win situation. Win-win situation, and Cyprus can be flourishing so much that we can surpass Singapore and Dubai. Cyprus can surpass and go further than Dubai and Singapore, not only for tourism, but also for investment in commerce and sectors like that.
Definitely a lot of potential. We talked a lot about the politics and the political discourse, and at times it can definitely get very heated between yourself and your Greek Cypriot counterpart. How does that impact the people-to-people relationship? How are Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots on the daily basis of life? Is there interactions normal?
Life goes on, and after 60 years, since 50 years since 1974, a lot of things get forgotten. So we have a lot of contacts with the Greek Cypriots. A lot of Greek Cypriots come to the north, a lot of Turkish Cypriots go to the south, and there is exchange of trade, commerce, cultural activities, things like that. And we, Turkish Cypriots, encourage this because we believe that with a two-state solution, we should be living in good neighborly relationship. We believe in this, and we are constantly engaging in activities like this. We are supporting. In our presidency, we have 12 different technical committees, as it were, and we, through these technical committees, are making a lot of effort so that we benefit as Turkish Cypriots and also Greek Cypriots benefit. Therefore, it's something that we would encourage. And we have at the moment 9 gates between the north and the south, but the main traffic is in Nicosia, the capital. And now we have proposed another gate on the other side of Nicosia so that the long queues at Metehan gate get less, so that people don't lose time waiting for the queues to flow. But I'm not getting the right answer from the Greek side, so I'm pushing them to make a decision. So the answer to your question is that we are doing our best to increase the activity of both peoples, the north and the south, but with a two-state solution, not a federalism.
I want to ask one last question. We're already over the limit, but I really want to hear an answer to this now. I follow the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus probably closer than most people. And as president, I've seen you make more diplomatic outreach and more visits probably than any other previous president. Became an observing member of the Organization of Turkic States. How important was that membership? And also, in a broader perspective, when are you expecting a second country to finally officially recognize the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus? Because that feels like the breaking the camel's back.
We are making a lot of efforts, and I tell my own people that we might have had problems in that potential countries who might have recognized officially our country are being, unfortunately, threatened. I'm not going to use names, threatened. If you recognize them, then we will cut off credits, projects, trade, you suffer. So what do? They just stop. But a lot of these countries have a lot of respect to Turkey, obviously. Turkey is the main power in the region. I mean, it's only 60 kilometers away from Cyprus. And Turkey is now a political leader with the developments in the world. Turkey has got her own weight. So we believe that in time, with Turkey's help, with Turkish support, the Turkish Republic of Cyprus will increase in significance. This is very important. Recognition will come one day, but until then, we have to promote North Cyprus. And we are promoting North Cyprus all the time. We have cultural events in other countries. We have, despite these restrictions, sports activities, our athletes, our young generation people in all sorts of sportive activities, they are everywhere with our own flag representing the country. We've got trade with more than 100 countries. We have students at our universities from more than 144 countries. I go to these diploma activities from time to time, and unbelievable. African countries, Middle East countries, from Turkish world, even from European countries. We even have students from America doing PhD theses at our universities because we have been able to invest in infrastructures at all these universities, and we now have libraries, digital libraries. You can just press the button and any information is there. We are not recognized, but press the button and all the information is there. So because of these digitalization and technological improvements, the Turkish Cypriots have been able to have a success out of a lot of things. And we have been able to generate new sectors with our skills and export these through program exports. You know, so nowadays you don't have to export goods; you can export services, and we have been able to do that. So basically, the answer to your question is that the Turkish Cypriots, despite these restrictions, despite all these very unfair embargoes and isolations and whatever on the Turkish Cypriots, we have been able to make a real success out of our resources. What is a resource? As an economist, I'm talking now. Our land, our climate, our beaches, our greenery, our natural resources, together with our character, Turkish Cypriot. Who is a Turkish Cypriot? A Turkish Cypriot is a fighter. A Turkish Cypriot is 100% in heart linked to the motherland, Turkey. Turkish Cypriot is typically very highly educated. Turkish Cypriot is open-minded. Turkish Cypriots, probably even before Turkey, we implemented Atatürk's all thoughts and implications through our education system, through our conviction of our nationality. Who is a Turkish Cypriot? I am a Turkish. And then I am a Cypriot because I was born in Cyprus. But in heart, I belong to the Turkish world. All these characteristic attributes of the Turkish Cypriots have been able to eliminate all these impediments in front of us, and we now have a serious economy. I mean, okay, we might have problems, but despite all these restrictions and inhumane impositions on Turkish Cypriots, the Turkish Cypriots now have a prospering tourism sector. We have, despite some problems, very good universities. We have serious investment in infrastructure and construction sector with a lot of hotels, with a lot of other facilities. And through our new Ersin airport, we now have more than 5 million travelers coming in and out. Last Bayram, we have had 1,000 flights in 3 days, 1,000 flights. So a lot of my own people complain that from time to time, things are not going well because we have inflation, we have life is expensive, but life is everywhere expensive nowadays. After the Ukraine war, you got oil prices going up, construction, cement, iron, costs have gone up in real terms. Obviously, all these costs have also gone up in Cyprus. But what we have been able to do is to increase the income of our people. When you look at the salaries, when you look at the minimum wage, when you get all these, whatever economic sectors, which have been able to continue the workforce. If I might share with you, we've got about 100,000 Turkish Cypriots working. We have probably, they tell me now, number approaching that 80,000 workers from other countries coming to work in North Cyprus. Maybe half of that is from Turkey, half from other countries like Turkmenistan, Pakistan. Why? Because the Turkish Cypriot economy has prospered in all these sectors that I've just talked to you about, and we need workforce to continue production, to continue the services in all these sectors, and we are able to do that by inviting people from other countries to work with very attractive salaries. So the Turkish Cypriots are doing well. Turkish Cypriot economy, despite global challenges, are prospering. Look, we have had this pandemic. I was the prime minister at the time. A prime minister is more inactive in government. When I was the prime minister, I had to go through this pandemic, COVID. It was hell. Flights stopped, hotels closed, economy collapsed. I had to cut the wages of the people and salaries. It was a nightmare. But thank God we persevered. Thank God we took the right measures. Turkey also helped, and we were managing to come out of that. Then we had this earthquake, 6th of February 2023 in Turkey. We lost some of our people. A lot of Turkish people were affected somehow. And the cost to Turkey was, as you know, more than $100 billion. So we suffer together because we are so near Turkey. If Turkey has a problem, this also reflects to North Cyprus. But thank God we have been able to overcome all these. Ukraine war, in terms of economic cost, it was a cost, it's still a cost. Gaza is only 100 kilometers from Cyprus. What happened in Gaza reflects, unfairly, reflects negatively on Cyprus because of tourism activities. Despite all this, we have been able to manage to continue the growth, and the plan that they have given to me a few weeks ago, Turkish economy is growing at least 5% a year. And I told my people on a TV show program the other day, if we continue to manage this growth 5% a year, that means in 5 years, capitalized, we will have our economy will have grown by a third in 5 years. So despite the problems, we have to somehow continue to grow our resources, to grow our economy so that we can share the growth with our people for better welfare, for better wages and better prospects. So I have always proposed to my Greek Cypriot friends, let's be together, let's cooperate so that we can both enjoy economic growth. And with Turkey's support, we can all prosper and we can all get richer. And we owe it to future generations that this cooperation could be a win-win situation for both of us. And this is something that a lot of countries don't enjoy in the world. A lot of countries, little island like Cyprus, they are on their own. They don't have a motherland. They don't have any big support from other countries. Many of them don't. So they kind of have very difficult times. In North Cyprus, yesterday, Cevdet Yılmaz, deputy president, he was in Cyprus, and we have yesterday, for a new high court, we did the activity, and also for a new hospital just outside Nicosia, we have launched that project yesterday. So all the time with Turkey's support and with our own endeavors, with our own efforts, we are improving the infrastructure of North Cyprus, not only in these sectors, but also health sector, and new roads, new bridges, so that we can have a better traffic and better comfort for our people.
I admire your determination and your conviction. And as you said, Turkish Cypriots are fighters. You're a fighter. The president of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Ersin Tatar, please round of applause.
Well, I must take this opportunity to thank all of you, to thank Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan for inviting me here, to thank Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, to thank all Turkish diplomats, to thank all these people who have made their very valid efforts in organizing Ankara Diplomacy Forum. I attended, by the way, to all of them. I've been invited to all of them before, as you know, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, when he was the foreign minister, he invited me. Now, Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. And this is a Turkish success because Antalya, as a new destination, as a tourism center, is able to collect a lot of visitors from a lot of countries. And I hope that Antalya Diplomacy Forum, these meetings, continue to grow and have a lot of significance in international diplomacy. We, unfortunately, Turkish Cypriots, don't get a lot of opportunities to be able to express our position, our views, our whatever we need to share with the international community. So for Turkey, at this very important meeting in Antalya, to give me this opportunity to talk to you and to talk to the international press is obviously something that I very much appreciate. So I would like to thank you and all your team who have invited me here and given me the opportunity to share with you my thoughts and my endeavors as to how we, the Turkish Cypriots, are sharing with the world our human rights, our human values, and our determination to be a respected side in the international community. As I said to you, Turkish Cypriots, with our inherent rights from our historical efforts, we are a people with our language, with our culture, with our religion, with our endeavors, with our history, and whatever the cost that we have paid to get to here. And therefore, we should command the kind of respect that we deserve to be a recognized side in the international community, which is the Turkish Cypriot state, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. And the Turkish Cypriot state, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, is prepared to cooperate on all kinds of activities with our Greek Cypriot friends. And by the way, I should always say that we have laws and regulations. We are, despite that we are not recognized, we are collaborating and cooperating with international police, with international institutions. Because despite the fact that they don't recognize us, sometimes they come and knock on the door. They say, we have somebody who has done this and the other in another country, and the Interpol is after him. If that is the case, they come. They knock on the door, and we ask our police, we ask our own courts, try him, and if it is the case that this guy is criminal, this guy or she has done this and the other, then we catch him, and we give it to the international police, and they take him to try him, whatever. And like nowadays, we have a lot of black money, as you know. We have laws and regulations, our banking system, our laws and legislation to protect our country from all these undesired money movements, which might help to terrorism, which might help drug trafficking. We have laws and regulations to protect our people and also the international community. So the Turkish Cypriot state, this is very important. The fact that we are not recognized doesn't mean that the Turkish Cypriots is using this advantage because we are not recognized to do all this dirty business. Because that could be the case. Because they don't recognize us, they don't give the kind of significance that we deserve, then we will continue with all these irregular activities, undesired activities, so that we earn more money. That is not the case. We say the Turkish Cypriots, our state, is a state of high character. We have laws, regulations to protect our people and to protect the international community from all these undesired activities. We will never, ever be used, because you have examples, I know a lot of examples in the world, because the international system doesn't catch that, then all these untoward activities begin to get together there. And then you have mafia, you have black money, you have drugs, and all these other things, and a lot of money. We don't care. We don't want that money. So we protect our states, and we want to be a respected state. This is very important. And that's why I, from time to time, call the Europeans, because they are being unfair to us. They are not recognizing us. They are only recognizing the South, and then they talk about European values in all the island. If you are going to have all these European values, including all these things that I've said about drugs, about black money, this, that, and the other, you should also respect the Turkish Cypriots, because we, the Turkish Cypriots, are doing our best to protect, so that Cyprus as a whole, with Turkey's support, is also have the kind of relationship with the European Union. If the European Union say that Cyprus is a European island, but only the Greek side and the Turkish Cypriots are outside of it, this is absolutely unacceptable. Because when you talk about a little island like Cyprus, the north and the south should be considered together. That's why I have proposed, when I was the Prime Minister and now as the President, despite obviously some criticism, but I very sincerely propose that a future solution in Cyprus should be based on a two-state solution. But this two-state solution, because the Turkish Cypriots would be sovereign, could be within a European context. When I say European context, I could support or I could discuss a two-state solution within a European perspective, and the Turkish Cypriot in the north, which could be part of the European Union, could be a bridge between Turkey and the European Union. Obviously, there are complexities, but what I would suppose is that this could be a beneficial solution to all sides involved: the European Union, the Greek Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, and Turkey, in this very critical and important region of the world. And if we were to achieve this, Cyprus can prosper so much that the Eastern Mediterranean could be something a lot more different, a lot richer, a lot more prosperous, and people can really enjoy the prosperity of the island with a lot more investment in an island like that in this part of the world, with all the resources that we have. We have beautiful tourism attractions, but also if you study trade between further down and European, 75% of world trade goes through near Cyprus. All the fleet coming from China, the Far East, to the Europeans and the Americans, they come through the Eastern Mediterranean. It's so critical. So if we have all these political disputes overcome, this island could be much more prosperous and offer future generations much more wealth, welfare, and richness.
A trading hub, a logistics
Trading
hub.
hub, yes.
And it sounds like not only Cyprus, north and south, and Turkey, but also the European Union would probably prosper a lot from the policies you just talked about, the initiatives you just talked about. Gentlemen, I know everyone has other panels to go to and lunch to go to. I see a hand up. Yes?
Yeah, let's take a
do you want to
few
take a
questions.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's take these two questions. Let's start with you in the front and then in the back. Two questions, and then I'm going to close out. You could start, sir, in the front row.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a journalist from China Social Media, and thank you for your very comprehensive introduction of your proposal and to let us know the aspiration of your people and your society. And I want to follow a question about the EU. You touched on about this issue. So my question is that if one day the two-state solution can be achieved, would you propose a roadmap to build up any engaging relationship with the European Union, or even to seek to participate the EU or not? Yeah, that's my
Well, I
question.
think I've just answered that. If I understood you correctly, I have proposed a two-state solution. The state in the north should be obviously sovereign. With my sovereignty rights, I am prepared to be in the European Union. A two-state solution within a European context. And the Turkish Cypriots would still have the same relationship that we currently have with Turkey, our motherland, in terms of Turkey being a guarantor and Turkey support. This is very important for the Turkish Cypriots. The Europeans, up to a point, with European welfare, with European way of life, and all the other welfare aspects of the European values, I am all to that. But I will never give up on Turkish guarantee. So in that context, if something can be organized, that kind of solution would reflect very positively, not only for Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, but also the Europeans and the Turkey. That's my personal conviction.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Gentleman in the second row.
Mr. President, thank you very much for the information you have provided about the recent development taking place in Cyprus issue. My question is about actually the recent development after the EU summit with the Central Asian countries. As you know, some countries in Central Asia, they have decided to open the embassies in the southern part of Cyprus, and also apart from that, of course, they accepted the U.S. Security Council resolution, which is calling for the international society to not recognize the Northern Turkish Republic of Cyprus. I was wondering actually, what's your reaction and official position of the statements from the Central Asian countries, including Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan? Thank you.
Every country has got her reasons why they are engaging in different activities, because we know that there are a lot of attractions. I'm not going to discuss that. What I'm saying is I have, as I said, fighting for a two-state solution. So they can have any kind of relationship with the other side, but I expect in time the same relationship with the state in the north. We are now in the Turkish world because of the 2022 agreement, and we expect that as a Turkish Cypriot state in there, we would increase our relationship with all these countries, and Turkey is supporting us. Azerbaijan is more and more positive about our position. So we hope in time all these relationships will grow, because Turkish Cypriots deserve this. We are, as I said, Turkish Cypriots, and we are in the Turkish world. All these years, we have had contacts with all these countries. Not only cultural activities, tourism activities, students from their countries, in our countries, our people going to their countries. We've got a lot of historical common roots. In fact, we speak the same language. Maybe dialect has changed, but we speak the same language. We have the same culture. We have common links, and therefore it's only natural that in this, as I was saying, in this day and age of communications, I mean, even to Turkey, look, my grandfather, some 8 years ago, he sold a plot of land to buy a radio to listen to the Ankara radio. Can you imagine? 8 years ago. He sold a plot of land to buy a radio to listen to Ankara radio so that he could listen to what's happening in Turkey. Now, everybody has got this mobile phone. You press the button and you can talk not to Kazakhstan, you can talk Sydney. Now, direct contact. The world has changed. The dynamics of the world has changed. So therefore, we Turkish Cypriots, we have connections everywhere. We've got people in London, we've got people in Australia, we've got people all over Europe and in the Turkish world. And we have got to get closer because we have a lot of common characters. And when you have a lot of common things, that technology, digitalization, communication bring you even closer. So things have very much changed, and I'm very hopeful that things would improve in time, and things will get better.
Any other questions? Okay, then thank you very much.
Thank you.